During the Trump administration, cruelty often seemed to be a central theme. It wasn't enough for them to cut vital programs that help people stay housed, fed, healthy, and alive. They also seemed to take pleasure in mocking and owning the libs, while celebrating how much worse they were making our country, government, and even the world. We've seen this particularly with the attack on U.S. aid, where MAGA supporters openly seemed pleased that people worldwide were suffering as a result. One tweet from a MAGA member in particular went viral due to the rightful backlash it received. Not only was it offensive, but it was also blatantly racist, which is what Jasmine Crockett called out when she responded to the post. Before diving into the specifics of this MAGA post, I want to briefly highlight Jasmine Crockett's defense of USAID.
Try to get through a lot quickly. As one of the few people sitting on the dais who actually practice criminal law in the state of Texas, as well as licensed in Arkansas and practice there, as well as federal courts, one of the things that you said earlier, Mr. Beer, really stuck with me, is that there are already laws on the books as it relates to those violent criminals. And I know this because even though I hail from the great city of Dallas, I can tell you that when someone would come in and they were being held in custody for, say, a crime, they also had an ICE hold, okay? And that was for those that had maybe been deported before and had re-entered illegally and things like that. And so no matter what type of city you're in, I do want to be clear, federal law already, no matter if it's under the Biden administration or if it's under a Republican administration, we all agree that we want to be safe. And I think that's the first premise that we're losing, because there isn't something that is tatted on my head that says that I'm a Democrat and therefore you illegal bad person, don't come for me, go for the ones that have the R's on their forehead. Now let me be clear about this as well, because we've talked about crime and we've talked about fentanyl specifically, and this is also something that I have dealt with, unlike some of my other colleagues. And listen, I'm gonna be honest, because I actually wanna fix problems. And I actually have a really good senator in Texas, and I'm sure y'all can guess which one is the good one. But let me tell you, if we care about fentanyl, I have multiple bills for that. I started on the state level before everybody started talking about it, and I have federal bills that my senior senator has signed on to. So I welcome my colleagues because I actually want to make sure that my communities are safe. But as we start to talk about crime and statistics, Mr. Beer, I want to play a little game with you. It's called rhetoric versus reality. And so I want to ask you, my first question, is this rhetoric or reality? Immigrants commit more crimes than US citizens.
On a per capita basis?
Rhetoric or reality?
Oh, it is rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, which states that undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than US-born citizen rate, and this is from nij.ojp.gov.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. The next one, immigrants are just living off the federal government and contribute nothing.
That would be rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I would ask unanimous consent to enter study that says undocumented immigrants pay almost $100 billion in taxes. This is from the Alabama Reflector.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. My final rhetoric or reality question is immigrants only enter at the southern border.
Rhetoric.
Okay, right, because they enter all kinds of ways. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. In fact, I have a few more questions because I still got a little bit of time, which I usually run out of time. We have talked again about crime, and there's been this overemphasis on it. And honestly, I can tell you that I don't want anyone to be killed, whether it's here or anywhere else. There is nothing about me as the child of a preacher that makes me say that I want people to die, okay? So I feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that—
I feel like the point has consistently been made when talking about USAID that it represents such a small portion of our budget for such important soft power. But even if it did cost more money, we're keeping people alive. And very easily, we're not shipping. And I know I'm now making the money argument again, but like the cost of the peanut paste that we ship around the world, less than a cent, I think it is to make, which keeps people fed and alive. It is just shocking that Republicans think this is what we need to slash instead of wasteful spending in the Defense Department. They haven't even considered looking at Elon Musk contracts. Of course, they would never do that. Like I said, these programs are essential to the functioning of the world, really. And Republicans are celebrating their demise in the most disgusting way. Like we saw right here, who approved this Jasmine Crockett slam. Disgusting House GOP for sharing morbid meme. Jasmine Crockett lashed out at House Republicans after an official House Foreign Affairs Committee's social media account shared a spoof video of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk dancing while carrying a casket labeled USA ID in a post to X over the weekend. House Republicans celebrated the demise of U.S. Agency for International Development. With the video meme, a message of the post read "One Lib Zero," while children starve, civilians suffer in a post to Twitter over the weekend. House Republicans celebrated the demise of the U.S. Agency for International Development. With the video meme, a message on the post read "Mac One Lives Zero," while children starve, civilians suffer, and global crises worsen. Because of their cruelty, the House GOP is out here making memes and playing. Crockett wrote on Monday, "This is disgusting. Who approved this?" Last week, the State Department announced it was formally closing the Foreign Aid Agency after winning a court battle. Unfortunately, USAID strayed from its original mission. Long ago, as a result, the gains were too few, and the costs were too high. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement here, "We can see the tweet from Jasmine Crockett and the video of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk carrying this casket noticeably in an African nation." So, a lot of the commentary around that tweet was the fact that they were carrying this casket. The meme was very purposeful, that they were in an African country because, of course, that's where millions of children are going to starve and die because of Elon Musk, because of J.D. Vance, because of Donald Trump. And it's the reason that every time Elon says, "Why are people mad at me? Why do they treat me so poorly? Why does no one like me?" Maybe it's because you're not only killing people, but then laughing about it and claiming that that owns the lib, because you're going to starve children in Africa and then make a racist post about it. It's disgusting. And Greg Kazar made this point. The call out he made was emotional and just so spot on that I want to take a listen right here.
I'm going to do something that I've never done in a congressional hearing before, and that is plead for help from the American people, plead for help from my Republican colleagues on something that we actually all agree on, because lives are at stake right now. I'm going to start by describing the facts on the ground. Millions of people are at risk of dying of starvation in areas of the world where Democrats and Republicans have already agreed and committed to feeding them with American-grown food for humanitarian reasons and for global stability. But yesterday, I spoke with people in charge of warehouses in Sudan and Ethiopia, warehouses full of food, but because of DOGE, that food is trapped in the warehouse, out of reach of starving and dying moms and kids. In those two countries alone, 150,000 children and moms are at risk of dying this month if that food is not delivered from the warehouse to them right up the road. Everyone agrees that's not supposed to happen. Republicans voted for this food, and Democrats voted for this food to get out. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the food should go out as part of his life-saving waiver. DOGE Chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene started this hearing by saying that life-saving food programs should still be running. We have paid for the food, and we have shipped it, and it is sitting trapped in the warehouse because DOGE is blocking the payments needed to get the food out to the people who need it. So here's what that means. It means that kids are dying and more will die tomorrow of severe acute malnutrition. If you want nightmares, just Google severe acute malnutrition and look at the photos. The way that healthcare workers determine if a kid is dying of this is they measure their bicep. And if their bicep is less than 4.5 inches around, then that means you could die of starvation tomorrow. Think of a kid's arm fitting through this hole. Think of your kid's arm fitting through this hole. These kids could die tomorrow. You've heard today about the
most harmful individuals are running our government, and they're celebrating as they tear it down. It's all part of their plan. I always think back to the quote from Russ By, who said he wants government workers to feel traumatized when they go into work. That's exactly what they want. To make people believe the government is broken so they can dismantle it even further, privatize, and give themselves as many tax cuts as possible. The ultimate goal here is to foster a negative perception of government, while at the same time, Donald Trump claims we're in some golden age and that tariffs and cuts to USAID will bring us back. This is why the tariff argument feels especially misguided, because the groups it impacts most are exactly the ones Trump claims to support. For instance, manufacturing and American farmers are hit the hardest, yet Trump cut funding for manufacturing programs in President Biden's agenda. He also eliminated funding for green energy, green jobs, and green manufacturing in the Inflation Reduction Act. Moreover, USAID spends billions purchasing produce and goods from American farmers. But Trump has wiped all of that out. So don't tell me Trump cares about farmers or is revitalizing American manufacturing when he's attacking these essential programs, as Jim McGovern rightly pointed out.
Now Republicans bring to the floor this CR, basically a blank check to Trump and Musk that says, keep doing what you're doing, we're all fine with it. No way, no way. My Republican friends want to pretend like this is a clean CR. It's 99 pages, for God's sake. A CR is pretty simple. The government gets funded at the same levels. Calling this CR clean is laughable. This bill cuts health care for veterans, $23 billion ripped away from veterans exposed to burn pits and Agent Orange. This bill defunds the police. I guess my Republican friends only care about the police when they need their votes, because this CR takes money away from the police. You know what's another word for taking money away? Defunding. This CR helps fire thousands of Social Security workers, forcing seniors to wait longer for their benefits that they have earned. That is what House Republicans are trying to jam through on the floor right now. And the brazenness that Musk and Trump have when going after Social Security takes my breath away. They tried to close down a Social Security office in Chairman Tom Cole's district in Oklahoma. That's nuts. He's one of the most senior Republicans in Congress, a Republican, chairman of the Appropriations Committee, and Elon went after his constituents. Now, Chairman Cole was able to stop it, but what about the rest of the country? God help you if your congressperson doesn't run a powerful committee, because that means there's nothing to stop Elon Musk from coming after your Social Security.
There's no consistency in Trump or MAGA's approach, and honestly, why would there be? There's no clear ideology or theory of governance with either Donald Trump or Elon Musk. It's all about breaking things, complaining, pointing fingers, and making people believe that government can't function. That's why it's so important for Democrats, elected officials, independent media, and people like us to not only call out these attacks, but also to show a positive vision of how government can work. Tim Walz made a point in a video we covered a month ago. When Democrats return to power, it's not just a when, but a how that matters. We need to be bold in what we pass and do, proving that government can actually work. Sure, it's going to be a huge task to fix what Trump broke, but we need to show people that there's a positive way forward. This isn't just about defeating one person. It's about what we can build, fix, and achieve. That's the message we need to spread. We'll keep talking about this every day, and if you want to support the independent media we're building here, as always, you can subscribe, like the video, and if you've made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comment. I'll see you next time.